Hey, babies. Welcome back to Talk to Me, Kitty Couples, where we are changing swipe left culture to stay right culture in all things, making sure that we uphold relationships and marriages. Now, y'all know the conversations so far have been insanely good. And I don't even know if I'm ready to digest this conversation yet. But I am now joined by not one of my brothers, but two, both of which I have had the privilege of sharing the space with. Great space, great conversation. I've learned so much from the both of them. You all know them, but let me reintroduce my brothers, Trill AC and Trip Fontaine.
Appreciate the intro, baby. I like that. I fly. Feel like somebody important in here.
Because you are. So y'all know we have been in the space of talking relationships, dating, healing, marriages. And there are some conversations that we have heard online that we really have not been able to dive into. And I think this is a time for us to be able to do so. So, of course, we like to talk wives quite a bit. We like to talk wives. And the word says, he who findeth a wife findeth a good thing. I think that a lot of times we are not truly, I don't want to say taught, but I guess we can say that, as women, not really taught how to actually prepare ourselves to be wives for the man who actually comes to find us. And I think that we need to start highlighting the qualities, the character, the attributes, and all of those things that will make a man say, you know what? She's a wife. She's my wife. So, AC, I'm going to start off with you.
Uh-oh.
Start off with you.
Early.
What are the qualities and characteristics that stand out that will make you say, yeah?
Man, I think first things first is selflessness, for one. We in an era where we praising progression, career-wise, finances-wise, things of that nature. And I think with that, it kind of, speaking to the women part of it, I think it kind of makes them kind of wired like us to an extent. You know what I mean? In terms of the ambition and the passion and all of that. But the difference is that we got a lot more experience with it. So we able to kind of flip that switch when we walk in the house. Yeah. I think a lot of women struggle with that, to where they might be successful as hell and calling shots and directing you here, directing you there on their job, and a lot of them walk in the house and do the same thing. And then when a man doesn't want to necessarily deal with that, oh, he's too weak, or he's not, whatever, he's deficient in an area, when in reality it's just, no, you just hadn't learned how to flip that switch yet. What a lot of them don't realize is that, man, we got to do the same thing. When we outside chasing whatever it is we chasing, Trip can speak to that. We got businesses and making money and traveling all around the world, and we calling shots, and we got employees and all of that, right? But when we walk in the house with our woman, we can't talk to you like we talk to the employee. Right. We can't talk to you like we talk in the corporate room, or even if we eat outside, making his money in a way that may not be admirable. We can't speak to you in the way that we talk to dudes outside on the block. You see what I'm saying? It got to be a switch. And we've had to do that. So I think a lot of women struggle with that, and that kind of messes the relationship up before it even starts, if we're going to be honest. So I think that's my main one. I got a couple more, but just selflessness, I think right out the gate, if we can master that, then we can fix everything else.
How would that be modeled? If you saw, and I know you're married, but I'm just saying, for anybody else, what behaviors, what situations or anything would model that selflessness?
I think like being able to take a back seat sometimes. A lot of women come into relationships entitled. We say it all the time. A lot of women are taught what to expect from a man, but not necessarily how to take care of said man. Right. And to do that, like I said, going back to the selflessness piece, you got to be open to accepting what it is that he wants and what he values, not what you wished he wanted and what you wished he valued or what you value. And then villainize him for not valuing the same thing. You see what I'm saying? So I think like that's how it's modeled, man. It all boils down to, like I said, selflessness, and then understanding the fact that, hey, I can take a back seat sometime, and that doesn't make me weak. Like submission is delegation. Yeah. It's a choice. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of people see submission as, oh, I'm weak. Or he wants me to be docile, or he wants me to be just in a corner somewhere. No, you can still be as ambitious as you want to be. Right, but at the end of the day, and this is through my experience, most successful women that I've ran into, regardless of how much money they got or how many businesses they own, they still want to be able to come home and turn into that little girl every now and again, and look at their man and feel like, you know what, if I just say, you know what, I'm done for the day. He gonna be able to take care of everything. Or if I make that pouty face toward him, he gonna fix whatever the problem is. So I think, you know, you got to make way for that, though. A lot of women struggle to make way for a man to do that.
You got to make way for that. So can we agree that it's really the attitude that a woman comes in with?
Definitely.
So because you spoke on submission, a woman who is unwilling to take someone else's perspective, listen to someone else's opinion or their thoughts, person who has low perspective taking, do you see that a lot online?
Hell yeah, I think I think that's one of the downsides of online is like everybody got an opinion. Everybody got a voice. Some people don't need an opinion. Some people don't need a voice. But that's another conversation for another day. But with that, you know, especially people who are successful, you know, now you got a following.
Yeah.
Now you got 100,000 people telling you everything you do is right, everything you say is right. So when you run into somebody who may be even more knowledgeable than you still feel the need to stand firm, flag planted, even if it's proven in black and white that you're wrong because you're so used to people kissing your ass. So yeah, I definitely see that, especially online. And yeah, like I said, you're tanking the relationship before it even begins.
So as a man, you saw the unwilling attitude. If you saw that unwilling attitude, what would the shift in that dynamic be? Like if you're dealing with a woman, you're like, I see that you really have an unwilling attitude. I see that you're not willing to even lean in just a little bit. How would that shift?
She gets put into the recreational use only category.
That's honest.
It's just real, you know. At the end of the day, you know, men categorize women very quickly, and we say that a lot. You know, they be like dealing with a dude for 2 years. I wonder what we are. I'm a little confused. No. That man made his decision a long time ago because of the traits that you just spoke about. You showcase said traits that put you in a category in which he doesn't see a future with you. So if that scenario was presented to me, you would be categorized very, very quickly in, like I said, a recreational use only category.
I think some people really need to hear that because in today's time, if you listen to the messages that, especially me as a woman, online, because I have to hear these messages, when we hear these messages, I can only imagine a woman who's not married listening to a woman who's projecting her bad experiences, her bad dating experiences, her bad relationships, or her bad experiences from her upbringing. If I'm listening to someone who is fear-mongering, projecting their fear, and they're telling me, you should not trust men. You can't trust someone to lead you. You got to have your own money. Make sure you're okay. That becomes my perception of relationships and men. Right. And then I have this man who shows me all of the great qualities in a leader, the great qualities as a man, and I'm still unwilling to receive you. There has to be a safeguard. There has to be a limit on how much I receive from you.
Yeah, and I think a lot of women overestimate the tolerance of the men that they want. Right, you got to understand the type of men that women actually want. We ain't talking about regular, you know, guys out here that's struggling, that can't even take care of their damn self. Women don't want that type of man. Women want a successful man, which means that he has a lot of options. Like, I don't have to be here. Right. I don't, you know, it's not my job to build your humility from the ground. Yeah. It's just not. Yeah. And that man is not gonna, you know what I mean, put that construction hat on if he don't have to. If he has the option to just, okay, cool, that's how you are. Hey, no harm, no foul. Good luck on your journey. But we going this way. I don't have the time. I don't have that. You see what I'm saying? I think that, you know, most successful men, if you ask them, they're gonna say the same thing.
Could I?
Go ahead.
I just want to carry over from the conversation that we previously had. And I guess deposit a little bit into the conversation. Even as a unmarried person, a purpose-centered man isn't gonna have a lot of tolerance for you. It don't matter if I got to it yet or not. Even if I haven't gotten to what others would consider, because I'm speaking personally. Right. I knew exactly where I was going before the cameras got here, before all of that. This is a side effect of obedience. Yeah. I knew this was coming. You ain't have to rock with me then. Right. I ain't got a lot of purpose for you to be unyielding and unwilling to carry somebody else's perspective. Shorty, this God work. Yep. Ain't nobody worried about you. Yeah. Most of the times I can't even stop and worry about me too good. Ain't nobody worried about you. So it's like you talking about a man getting to it.
Yeah.
Especially a man, because successful black man is married.
Yeah.
He ain't even seen the peak of the money he gonna see in his real career off camera.
Mm-hmm.
That don't come until you like in your early 40s.
Early 40s. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a brother that's already successful.
Already successful. Yep.
So it's like until I hit that point, the wick real short.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we talking societal or spiritual, there's still a lot of work that I got left to do. And if I'm oriented towards that, if you unyielding towards things that I have results to show for,
Mm-hmm.
Ain't got a chance on the other end.
none.
So from your standpoint, let's just say that in your purpose, and you decide, or you realize that in my calling, I'm a husband. Woman presents herself. Get to know her, having conversations. You went out a couple of places with her, got to know her personality, got to know her character. What would be the turnoff when you realize this is not my wife?
One of the major turnoffs for me would be that she not operating in her purpose.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like a all stay away from me thing, but
Mm-hmm.
if a woman is on some like I don't really know what I want to do,
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know where I'm going in life, all right, cool. It's no slight to that, but I don't need lost around these parts.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime I've been lost, it's because I needed a perspective shift from the Most High, not because I was in the wrong place.
Right.
I can't relate to that. I don't need to take that with me nowhere long term. You know what I'm saying? I'm cool. That's one of them. And then narrow-mindedness. Like she know everything, but only know this much.
Ooh.
Now you can go on, get the fuck on out of here, man. I ain't got nothing for that. You know what I'm saying? It's not that you don't feel like I can teach you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I could never be an effective leader for you. Like, it's not about me pouring what I want into you. It's about me learning you and figure out how to best serve, which was going to require me to teach you
Yes.
just as much as it requires you to teach me. But if you don't feel like you got nothing to learn, I'm all right. You can keep it all.
Is that important to y'all as men?
It definitely is, man. I think, especially once you get into a marriage, because a lot of men go into marriage and not really understanding what we signing up for. Just keep it real here. But I think once you get in it and then you get a bunch of experience and go through the trials and tribulations, you start to realize, damn, this marriage is going to be a reflection of my leadership.
Yeah.
So with that, going back to what bro just said, if you're getting in the way of me leading, we don't have a chance to get to the finish line. You understand what I'm saying? And again, it goes back to what we talked about with submission. It's like a lot of women take that as a weakness, and it's not. It's powerful to delegate, right? I could be the CEO of a company. That don't mean I'm the smartest person in the building. As a matter of fact, I better not be the smartest person in the building. I'm going to hire people to take care of this camera right here. I'm going to hire people to take care of that audio. I'm going to hire somebody to host. I'm in charge of overseeing, making sure everything is going the way it need to be going, and more importantly, hiring people who are more equipped to do the job than I am, which is going to make my job easier, right? That doesn't make me weak. I'm the one that hired them. I'm the one that told them, hey, go work this camera. Hey, go work that audio. Hey, go do that. And a lot of people don't see submission that way when that's really what it is. You found a man that you feel like is suitable, powerful, has good vision, steady, level, all of these things to guide you. Doesn't mean you can't pour into him and help him. Going back to what bro just said, teaching goes both ways. I plan to learn something from you too, or I better learn something from you, or we ain't got a chance anyway. But again, that doesn't make you weak to say, you know what, final word goes to my man. I think a lot of women have issue with that.
Can I talk perspective
Yeah.
best as I can?
Yeah, let's go.
Like try to paint like a physical picture of what I see when I think about submission. And we talking about purpose-centered people. Me as a man, looking outward towards my purpose and pursuing that. My lady behind me, watching me pursue that purpose, aiding me in pursuing that purpose. Now, her perspective is of a wider depth of a wider view than mine, because she steps back from the line that I stand on. And so submitting to me, who is in submission to my purpose, means that she's watching me do the work, handing me the tools while I'm doing the work, turning the map over, making sure I got it straight while I'm doing the work. If I'm unable to teach you and talk to you about what I see, how is it that you guide me? Because that's ultimately what you're doing when you're watching me from 10 feet back, is providing a depth on the journey that I can't. We talk about a woman's wisdom, right? You're providing a level of depth that I don't have because I'm closer to the picture than you are. If you think about looking at art in a museum, if I'm standing 3 feet from the picture, I'm seeing a completely different thing than you who's standing 10 feet away.
Right.
Yeah.
So if I can't teach you about these intricate details that I see when I'm out here in the field, and we talking about the spiritual thing now. If I can't teach you about how I see God and how God communicate with me, what then do you offer me when it comes your time to teach me? To give me that 10 feet perspective, to give me the wisdom that because it's not that I'm right.
Yeah.
That's why I come to check with you for the wisdom, right?
Yeah.
So if we can't share that reciprocal relationship, because again, you feel like you know it all, I have nothing to teach you, which means I have nothing that I can learn from you either. There's no more that you stand to gain from me, which means there's no more I stand to gain. So you gotta, I don't think women with all the pandering going on are taught what it means to submit to a man who's in submission to his purpose. And just how much discipline that man is going to have. And that's why the fuse is, or the wick is so short.
But the argument the argument that's been held online is it's y'all leadership that lets us know if we can submit to you. That's the main argument. You have to prove to me that I should submit to you. That's the argument online. What's y'all viewpoint on that argument?
I would say that, first off, you got to be coachable for that. And I think a lot of women overestimate their ability to be coachable, right? We got Michael Jordan walking here right now and show me how I need to practice jumping and dunking the ball. He has a 48-inch vertical. Mine is nowhere near that. It doesn't matter how much he teaches me. I'm incapable of climbing up to where he's trying to get me to climb up to, right? And instead of acknowledging that and just being, working on the stuff that I actually do well, if I try to continue to do that, then I'm going to fail. I'm not going to be the best player that I could possibly be, right? But I say that to say, like, you got to be coachable. And a lot of women are not coachable, one, because they just don't respect men, I think, in this era that we in. You know what I mean? I think that's what it boils down to, for a myriad of reasons. A lot of them that aren't their own, starting from the household, father not being there, not really having that strong male figure that they can follow, that they can just kick their feet up and know that he gonna take care of it, right? So she's always had to roll up her sleeves. She's always had to pick up that hammer. She's always had to step into a masculine role. So I think it's gonna be a transition to make when she run into a guy who is perfectly capable. You know what I mean? Because it's a lot of those guys out there too that's dealing with that. Like he has a track record of leadership. He has a track record of willing to learn her, willing to figure out how I can get her to be the best version of herself that she can be, right? But she's so, like, that's so foreign to her that she rebels it. So it's like, as a man, what am I to do in that scenario? I can give you the best leadership in the world. I can give you a play-by-play blueprint, black and white, zoomed-in version of what needs to happen. But if you're not willing to read it, I don't have a chance. And regardless how good a leader I am, that's not going to change that. That's work you got to do on your own. And they don't want to take that kind of accountability.
I would probably 2 degrees of difference, but I agree. I almost agree with the women, which I think the phrase is dumb, but I almost agree. I agree in the sense that I think you absolutely can tell what type of man a leader is, and that you should be looking for a man to be a good leader prior to submitting to him.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I think a part of the problem is that women, first of all, don't know what they're looking for. To say that they're not looking for the right evidence. Then I would offer that a lot of women mean that they want a man to tame them as opposed to lead them. You've never healthily submitted to a man in your life. You've never had examples of healthy leadership, so you want a man to refine your position as opposed to you having been refined in your position by your own process.
Right.
So the first thing, when I say I don't think a lot of women, because of the pandering, know what to look for, you're looking for good fruit in that man's life. As Trill said, evidence. I can see that you stand on your square before getting intimately involved with you.
Come on.
I can see that. I can see generosity in your life before getting intimately involved with you. I can see patience in your life. I can see submission in your life. I can see your involvement in your community prior to getting intimately involved with you. But these are not the fruits that we telling women to look for. But then on top of that, shorty, can you make pie? Can you make cobbler? Can you can fruit? You ever cleaned a storehouse before? Hell, do you know the vinegar to water ratio when you go to clean the fruit? Because you asking me about bearing good fruit, and you have no idea what to do with it when you get it.
That's real.
So you wouldn't, because you're not rooted in your purpose, you wouldn't know a man rooted in his if you met him. You ain't about to do nothing but show the fruit to your friends and look what my man be growing me. Look what we be it right in the yard. He planted them all with his own hands. Look what we got, y'all. Shorty, how is you flexing the type of man I am gonna feed the next 3 generations of this family?
Right.
How is you flexing about my leadership and things like that, or the type of man what I got going on, gonna show people what type of household this is, not what type of dude I was. And it's not the same thing, you know. And it's not fault to the ladies. Again, we've discussed in here, we've discussed in plenty other spaces. These people are vulnerable and they being misled.
Exactly.
It's not that I think they should go in any one particular direction, but they're not being led anywhere. They're being given a lot of information that doesn't actually amount to anything.
Right.
Again, based on your belief system, there are real things that you can look for in a man to determine whether he's been prepared for husbandry and whether he's standing in that. And it doesn't take you to fall 3 or have 3 years of wasted time and looking at potential. No, bro. Good fruit means that something was actually produced, not potential, not none of that. That means his soil was already good, the seeds was already planted, watered. That bruh been in the field. Got dirt on the uniform. Y'all out here, cuz ain't got no dirt under his nails from no work in his life. His uniform ain't got no dirt on it. Ain't even got no scuffs on his work boots. He just got a little field over there and like 2 seeds in his pockets, and y'all saying that like he the one. You don't know what you're looking for.
You know, even because you all are men, so y'all walk this day by day. No amount of study of the male brain could even help a woman like me understand, truly 100% understand a man. So for someone who's watching, who knows they're called to be a wife, right? In you all's walk as a man, what would you say to a woman to prepare herself to actually be a wife to a man? Preparing herself to be able to manage him emotionally, physically, spiritually. What would be the advice that you all would give?
I say be humble enough and open enough to truly learn the man and accept him for who he is.
That's good.
I think, a lot of times women will run into a guy who may have a lot of traits that they want in a man. But they're not really willing to accept who he is. They feel like, okay, these are good traits, but I'm going to mold him into who I want him to be. And because of that, now that man doesn't have a space to express himself, or, you know, it's not a lot of accountability being taken, going that way. So I think just coming in with that type of humility, man, like I said, going back, I think a lot of women come into relationships with entitlement. Yeah. It's literally like, I want to be taken care of. What can this man do for me? Things of that nature, but they don't necessarily know how to provide, like how to make a man feel like a man, how to create space for said man. It doesn't mean you got to slow down on what you got going or none of that, but just come in with that humility to learn that man and make space for that man and accept that man for who he is. And if he's not who you want him to be, from your research and the vetting that should be going on, that doesn't often go along, but that should be going on, then walk away if he doesn't fit it. But a lot of times they unwilling to do that. They are more so, you understand what I'm saying?
They like, I can fix him.
I can fix him. And that is the first
Mold
mistake.
him into who I want him to be.
So that's that, man. Humility and creating space for that man to come in and be a man, be himself.
I think that is the biggest lack that we have in this community right now. The lack of preparation. It's discouraged. It's discouraged now. Online, you hear so many people talking about don't get married or putting fear in you and stuff like that. You don't need to be a wife. He needs to be a husband, especially just assigning value to a man just based on what he has. That's one big thing that we see a lot. Wanting to be treated as a royal person, as a princess, as a queen without giving anything in return. Those are the conversations that we're hearing a lot. So that lack of preparation. And then when you do have the wives like myself who come in and say, hey, baby, that's not going to work. You know how that goes online. You get scolded for that. And it's like, I'm not trying to tell you to become a doormat, but I'm trying to get you to understand that this is two-way.
Can I ask you a question as a woman?
Yeah, go ahead.
As a married woman. A married woman with
as
children.
As a married woman with children.
How do you, queen of your household, mother of girls, feel when grown women say they want princess treatment?
I think it's immature. Because when I hear princess treatment, I'm thinking that you're just saying that you only want your needs prioritized. And you dehumanize a man when you say that. We don't have that in my household. I love my girls. What they see in my marriage is what they understand with marriage and relationships. They understand that it is complementary. Our roles are complementary. They see the sacrifice that we both make. They see the compromise. They see the collaboration. It's not a matter of, I need to prioritize my needs over yours. There's going to be moments where I may want something, but I realize that it's not helpful for the both of us. And I have to be willing to say, that's not right. It's moments where I want to do something, and my husband's like, nah, babe, that's not a wise decision. I'm not quarrelsome. Why am I finna fight you on that? You may see something I don't see. So they see these things in the household. Because of that, they'll know how to practice it in the real world. But they see a model of it. So that's different. A lot of these women don't see a model. And then also, the mother that I am, because my daughters hear everything online, okay? They heard some conversations at a couple of shows, and they were like, what are they talking about? But the mother that I am, they have learned so much from me. We're in a very selfless household. We are a living room family. We have to think about everybody else. There are some selfish moments that my daughters have had, my teens. And I'm like, did you think about everybody else? Who it was going to affect? And usually that's once the consequences showed up. Once they have dealt with the consequence and they had to sit in it. Because I'm not a person who's going to protect my children from every consequence. Yeah. I need this to shape you. So that's the difference. What are you willing to give? That selflessness is very important. That's why we volunteer. That's why we do things in the community. I need y'all to practice this. Not saying that the only purpose you'll have in life is to be a wife, but just in case you do decide that one day, I realize when I talk to God, this is where I'm going to be. This is who I am. I am called to be a wife. I need you to know how to manage that man. My daughters don't see me mismanage my husband. It's very important that they don't see that.
It's heavy.
They don't see that. We laugh a lot. Me and my husband don't hide conflict. We don't do it. If we into it, you may see there may be a little tension. We work through it in that same day. We're going to work through it. Y'all going to see us work through it. I need y'all to have conflict resolution skills. I need y'all to understand, don't mismanage this person, because then that creates space for resentment and that creates space for temptation. So let's not do that. So a lot of it is modeling. I wish the people, especially young women in this community, would stop listening to the advice that's given online, because it's like, it's not helpful. You can't come into a marriage with me, me, me. A union doesn't work with a me mindset. It doesn't work that way.
It's real rough.
Those are the conversations that need to be held. Like I said, there's, in true Kittie fashion, I got to do it. There are certain conversations we don't have in marriages. We just don't. We don't talk high value. We don't talk low value. We barely even talk leadership and submission. Why we got to have these conversations?
Yeah.
We knew this in the vetting process. We knew what we were getting into. That's why I say the influence, this oversaturated space, the influence is unhealthy on the mind of a young woman. We are vulnerable.
My bad as the single person on the panel. I think my mind may have been blown. So to both of y'all, meaning to tell me that you knew who the person was that you married before y'all got married, you mean to tell me y'all did work on the front end to figure out who it was that y'all was marrying?
They'll change over time.
That's crazy, because it seemed like out there in the world, people just end up with folks that they don't know. I thought I was tripping, man. It just,
You know,
crazy.
before you say I do, the type of person you're dealing with, it's you who decided to stay with that person if you saw they did not have the qualities of being able to sustain a marriage. You knew that.
Man, that's crazy, ain't it?
That's why I come around. Yeah, no, that's real. Because even with me and my old lady, like we grew up together. I've been knowing her since 8th grade. You know, I watched her turn into the woman that she's turned into. So, and she had those traits right out of the gate. That's why that selflessness piece is so important, because selflessness gives you the versatility to be able to adapt in those trials and tribulations that's gonna come within that marriage. I don't give a damn how good it looks on the outside. I don't give a damn how smoothly it starts off. It's gonna be some waves. Right, but if you humble enough to come in there, you're gonna be able to adapt. I'm gonna be able to sit down and hear you and listen to that criticism that you're giving me without taking it personal. I'm gonna be able to tone my anger down enough to communicate in a way with you that I know that it's gonna be best received. Not just concerned about being right. I'm concerned with being together. But that takes humility.
And that's the reason why they say marriage is for disciplined people.
True.
It takes a greater level of discipline. To be married, it takes a greater level of discipline. No disrespect to anyone who's single. No disrespect. In your singleness, if it's the community you think about, it's the community. But somebody that you're living with, spending your every day, every breath with, and you have to consider them in every single thing that you do.
Literally.
Every decision, everything. I have to consider you. And then also knowing that I have to learn how to navigate and manage you as well. I want to be angry today. I want to be mad. I want to isolate. I want to go to my own space. It's not always so easy. If I isolate, how's it going to make you feel? Yeah. What am I going to create if I do that? And so then it takes that discipline and that pullback to say, I can't be prideful right now. I can't do that. As much as I would want to, in my singleness, I really don't got to worry about nobody else unless I got children in my community. But other than that, this person who I have vowed to protect, to honor, to serve, to love, it's not always the easiest thing to do. And then if you're speaking from a biblical standpoint, I got this relationship, this worldly marriage I have to maintain, because a lot of it is worldly. Not saying that it's not spiritual. There's still worldly needs in this marriage.
Bills to pay.
Then I also have this relationship with God I got to maintain too. And a relationship with myself takes a greater amount of discipline. It does.
Amen.
So there is a preparation that has to take place for husbands and for wives. Since we're here on this spot, preparation as a man. I want y'all to talk to me about that. And this is for the both of you. Preparation as a man to be able to make sure you can create the space for a wife.
Man, I think first things first is throwing away everything that we learned as a young boy.
Ooh.
Putting away childish things.
It takes reprogramming to be in a marriage, in a relationship, but especially a marriage. I say it a lot, like men are trained to be snipers. We are trained to go out there and pull as many attractive women and have sex with as many attractive women as we possibly can. And it starts at a very, very young age. And women contribute to it, whether they want to admit to it or not, right? Like when a baby is born, he's a son, he's handsome. What's the first thing they're gonna say? Oh man, he gonna be a heartbreaker. He's so adorable. Look at him. He gonna have all the girls tripping at her. So then he's growing up, and what's his dad saying? Yeah, boy, back in my day, I used to pull about 15 numbers when I used to go to them school dances. Boy, I had first time I had said I was 13, I was 12, then he get outside, go to school with his peers. It's like, all right, who can get the most numbers? Who gonna have sex first? Who gonna, you only hit five this year? That's it?
Yeah,
Oh, nah,
kids.
bro, I'm going for 10. You see what I'm saying? So it's like growing up as you grow up, and then women contribute to it as well because, especially young women, they say they want a certain type of man, but that man doesn't necessarily get the attention and the sexual benefits, if we're gonna be honest, especially when you're in high school and college and things of that nature. They'll say they want a man that's solid, that ain't really out there like that, that's low key, that's this, that's that. But as men, we hear that and then we look around and see that the man that goes opposite of what you say you want is the one that you giving the sex to. That's the one that's the father of your kid. That's the one who's gaining all of this attention and all this attraction. So it's like, as men, we see that and be like, well, damn, all that, what you talking about, I'm going to do that because that gets results. You see what I'm saying? So women contribute to that trained sniper as well, right? Because now that man who might have wanted to come out and practice the traits that his mama told him was going to work, he see what's actually working, what's actually successful, what's actually getting me the interest from these women, and then he flips a switch and turns into that. You see what I'm saying? So it's all programming. And to answer the question, man, we got to break that programming. And I think we don't really break it until we run into a woman and her livelihood is dependent on how we move. Then we're kind of forced to break it now because now I'm responsible for you.
Oh, wow.
Right? And a man's purpose and mission, like y'all talk about, especially with a woman that we love, a man will be willing to run through a brick wall for a woman that he loves.
Is this before marriage?
Before marriage, okay. Yeah. So, and marriage is an extension of that, and it's a refined version of it. But just that raw instinct to want to, like, that's what a lot of times causes a man to change. And if we're gonna just be all the way honest, losing a great woman hurts enough to where it's like, nah, how I'm moving ain't gonna work. I'm waking up listening to Al Green. I can't eat. Bro and them trying to go out. I don't want to go out. I done lost this woman. Like, she really left. I never thought she was gonna leave for real. This crazy. Like, she done, and he could have been all the way in the wrong, but it still hurt the same. So it's like he take that and lean into that, and that a lot of times causes the change as well. But either way, reprogramming is the only way that most men are going to be able to transition into that. We got to throw away everything that made us us. Everything that we got praised for before is going to be the detriment of the relationship when we get into it. He know. That's why he laughing. Everything we got praised for, because he know. Like, you can have a dude, especially young, he could be broke, but if he's able to pull women, he has status in the community. We gonna have him around, because he gonna always be able to, hey, bro, where the hoes at? Oh, don't worry about it. One phone call, 6 of them pulling up. He has that capability. So because of that, which is another conversation for another day, a lot of times that removes the incentive for him to actually go be successful, right? But I bring it up in this case to say that type of programming is what got to be broken for us to have a chance in a relationship, and most men don't make it.
And I know you fully agree with that. I feel like you want to add some stuff to the preparation, but I'm going to put his Cash App right here, y'all, on the bottom of that screen, because that was a whole sermon. But I'm going to go.
It was.
So what's your take, just to add on to his, because that was so good, AC?
Put your purpose ahead of you. Like, I can't, especially as a grown man. As a boy, as a child, you get a lot more grace. But as a grown man, put your purpose out in front of you. Because if we talking about preparing for husbandry, even in the most dictionary of senses, right? We talking about having land. We talking about being able to make that land profitable. We talking about having an estate that a partner can manage, if you will. You don't want to build that on faulty foundation. You want to plant your roots where you belong, and where you belong is in pursuit and realization of your purpose, right? And I'm trying to say this in the most universal way possible. Plug God in where applicable. I need to be in alignment with where I'm being called spiritually if I'm talking about going into spiritual union with a woman. My heart, my mind, my spirit has to be right in order for it to even be the right woman. It doesn't matter if that's who's been identified. If I'm not right, then the union doesn't work. So because I think as men, we forget we're an ingredient in the marriage also. You have to be right for the marriage to be right, my nigga. Like it's not just because so much of what we're taught as men is to perform externally. And so if I can set the conditions externally, then cool, I'm qualified. My G, if you get the land, again, it's not just acquiring the land. If we talk in definition, it's making the land profitable. There's know-how that comes with that. Even if like Trill talking, even if the only know-how you got is delegation, you got to know something. You got to possess something. And that's an internal thing. So bro, put your purpose out there. If you don't know your purpose, marriage is a far stretch. I'm gonna just keep it a buck. Big dog, if ain't no purpose out in front of you, don't hush that marriage conversation up. Because you'll let any old woman fill that role. And we can let the married people tell y'all, the wrong partner will ruin your life.
It's over. Biggest mistake you can make.
Ruin your life. If they are not an addition to your work, they can only subtract. Because eventually they're going to subtract from it. You got a whole nother person there occupying space.
Yeah.
They supposed to increase the yield. That's the point of the union. Even if we were talking about, like Kittie and I had just made a quick reference in another episode to like preservation of bloodline and marriage through that. Even that like came with more than just, you don't just plug anybody in there.
Exactly.
Even if you marrying purely for that, like purely for worldly status, you don't just plug any person in that. So if we talking about the spiritual union again, fellas, get your spirit right, man. Yeah, get your money up, get your credit score together, do all that. But that's the worldly part of marriage that Kittie was talking about. It's important. Duh. We know you got to pay bills, big dog. We know you got to be able to provide for your family and y'all live well, not just skate by. But if this in here is not correct, bruh, any woman that make you feel good and can talk good to you can end up attached to you and completely anchor you down somewhere that ain't got nothing to do with your journey, ain't got nothing to do with your path. And now here you done missed your actual reward because you didn't know the position you were supposed to be in.
Bro, I'll tell you what, just real quick, because bro spoke on something that's pivotal. When he said men need to know that they're an ingredient to the marriage. I think that's of the utmost importance. I think a lot of men, me included, when I first started marriage, I thought I could separate the two. I could be two different men. When I'm outside, I can move a certain way. Then I come home, and then I move a certain way. But I keep them separate from my business, from my social life, from all of that. And then I thought I could juggle. I thought I could balance it. When in reality, what happens outside or what happens in that business or what happens from your social life bleeds into
it bleeds
the
into
marriage.
Yeah.
It's not something for me to just, okay, I'm going to throw some money at it and I'm going to oversee it here and there. You are a key part of that happening. That needs to become your new identity. Like, you have to find value in it. Going back to what we said, like, as a man, like, a lot of times we've been programmed to find value in pulling women. But I think once you become the man you need to be, your value changes. Now, I got value in my lawn being the greenest in the neighborhood. I got value in the fact that I could take my wife and my kid to Greece randomly, just cause nobody's birthday or nothing. I find value in the fact I can take my daughter to Target and we can walk through there and pick out toys. Maybe you like that one? Oh, no, put that one back. Oh, no, you like that one? Put that one back. I take pride in showing up to gymnastics practice and watching my daughter do backflips and not things of that nature, seeing her personality, my personality come out of her mama personality. These are things that I find value in now.
That's good.
That I didn't before because I was trying to separate the two. No, your marriage is you as a man.
Yep.
And until you grasp that, you don't have a chance at it being successful.
What are we doing here? This is a sermon? What are we doing here?
That's
what we came to do today?
Talking about marriage. I think that's
in a healthy way.
Yeah, and I part of the reason I've been quiet in certain parts of these conversations, and it's not, I'm not trying to project on nobody, but I really think the reverence for marriage has been lost.
It has.
I think people make it this small, momentary happening, not understanding, not even looking at their own life honestly.
Yep.
Even if you young, I've been through a lot up until this point. What would it be like if a person was in covenant with me the whole time? That whole time, because that's what it's going to be for the next 20 or 30.
Come on.
Is they're going to be there the whole time, not... I mean, sure, physically, y'all not going to be in each other's... But you talking about doing life together, fam.
Life.
I don't care what religion you plug that into. I don't care if you're agnostic. You talking about doing life with somebody. Even at a worldly level, that's massive.
That's big. That's big.
That's a lot more than I love you.
That's real rap.
Whew.
That's real rap.
That's a lot
That's
more
the
than
name
we
of the
vibe.
episode.
Name it, because bruh, I'm just, when you hear a man who is married, a woman who is married, tell you, hey, I be having to go out my body to make sure I'm properly contributing to this.
Telling you.
That who I've wired myself to be to survive my life up until this point, I have to go against that in order to show up healthily here.
Come on.
Right.
That is not a small task. And then to be in no, to not even know who you are enough, to not be plugged in with yourself, bro. You gonna have this person walking on a minefield.
It takes us back to marriages for disciplined people.
Exactly, and it's not a vibe.
It is. It is. I'm sorry, y'all. It's so much to take in because y'all know I love having these conversations. Y'all know how I feel about marriage. I absolutely love marriage. I know that some people have married for the wrong reasons. But I do believe that marriage is still beautiful. I don't like the projections that everyone just has a bad, miserable marriage. That's not the case. You have some people who have amazing marriages. You just don't hear them talk much. They're at peace.
That's the thing.
At the house.
Quiet. They're at peace. They're quiet. We're letting you all have your opinions of whatever you think it is. I do think that people need to understand marriage is not always going to be glitter and gold. It's not always going to be days where y'all are doing 15,000 things together and y'all having a good time. You may have days, and you probably know it. I'm sure y'all probably went through it. You have days where it's like, hey, we don't got to do much today. We're just chilling. We don't have to do anything insane this week. We chilling. We're at peace. We're quiet. Being at peace and quiet doesn't mean that we're unhappy. But also to understand that every day is not going to be the happiest day. It's not. There are going to be some days where I may not like you today. You are getting on my nerve, and I may be getting on yours too. But I'm still here. I still love you the same. And if for any reason my love changes a little bit, I know how to reel it back in. Because I remember the purpose of us married. It was much bigger than me and you, especially when you have kids. It's a different conversation when you have kids.
Amen.
It's a whole different ball game. And we don't want to allow the family unit to be destroyed in the way that it has been. One more piece. Specifically, in what ways does a wife contribute to a man's purpose and his spiritual growth?
Man, I think she provides security, ironically. That's what men get a lot of credit for providing, but I think your woman provides security. She provides that safety net for you to fall back on when you done pick the right person. Now I feel comfortable going out here taking risks for us. I feel comfortable going out here sacrificing and bending over backwards and working that 16-hour shift and getting off that, taking a 2-hour nap, jumping on the next situation just so I can make sure we got enough money to take care of the bill or whatever the case. I feel comfortable making these sacrifices because I know that she in the trenches right with me. Compared to when you just dating somebody and they dating you for superficial reasons. As soon as that superficial reason run out, the relationship is over, or they're not gonna respect you the same. But when you got a wife, talking about a wife, it's a big difference. Like your success is her success, your failure is her failure. She gonna take it the same way that you take it if she's as invested as she should be, and more importantly, she gonna help you dig and climb out of that hole. Roll up her sleeves, be in there right with you. It's not something you got to do on your own. And that's another thing that a lot of men got to learn. We be feeling like we got to problem solve everything with no help or she won't respect us. If you feel that way, then you are with the wrong woman, right? There's nothing wrong with showing vulnerability. There's nothing wrong with showing weakness sometimes because the dope part about having a partner like that is she can help you improve on said weaknesses or step in and quarterback the situation in areas that you weak in. She's an asset to you. It's not just your woman. You see what I'm saying? So I think that's the main thing that a woman can provide is that security and also just that safe space for him to be able to unwind and truly communicate what's going on with him. I think a lot of men, especially in our community, black men, we got the high suicide rates. Yeah. And that's because we keep a lot of stuff in. We don't feel like we can express things without people judging us or without people looking at us differently and things of that nature. So when you run into a woman who's willing to create that safe space for you to come in, non-judgmental, tell me what's going on. Tell me, hey, baby, I don't feel like I'm being the best father that I could be today. I know I've been slipping. I don't feel like I'm being the best husband. And not only that, I need help. Like, can we go get some counseling? Or can you give me some tips on how I can show up for you more or show up for us more, show up for the family more? Like, finding a woman that you can be that vulnerable with that creates that space, shit, y'all gonna be together for 70 years, man.
That's so good. That's so good.
I'm a yes and.
Yes and.
Because, again, it's usually only like a degree of separation between me and Trill, and that's just because I be on semantics. I actually think it's no irony in a woman being security. I think we have a complete misunderstanding of what it means to be secured.
I accept that.
Proverbs 11:14 says, where there is no guidance, the people fall, but in abundance of counselors, there is victory. And one of the things we always talk about a woman being in a man's life is his counsel, right?
Right.
Wise counsel.
So you'll lose.
Support. Yeah.
When you've been assigned a wife, because, again, we're talking about a man who's been assigned a wife. Without that counsel, you will lose. That's where a wife comes in, brother, is that the completion of your mission now depends on her.
Ooh.
It depends on her counsel. Now, this you found the right one, but it depends on her counsel. Man in a healthy marriage will tell you it was a few things that I had to figure out that if not for my wife.
Oh, God.
So it's like as a man, because I got at this age, I got plenty of peers that's married now. I got plenty of OGs to talk to that's married now. Where it's like, yes, your job may absolutely be to paint out the big picture. Yeah. But it's her job to make sure the frame is hung correctly. The picture got to go up. And it may not be you that can set it square. That's wisdom. Yeah. Wisdom comes in detail. Detail is where there's no counsel, there's no protection. So before we talk about the physical protection that men are noted to provide, because protection starts as a feminine thing. Protection starts in the womb. It starts with coverage.
That's real.
Again, a wife is crucial to the completion of your mission. You have to consider her a part of the mission itself, not just a helper. So not taking her counsel, it's like you already failing. There you go. By not taking that perspective into, not just the person, but the perspective itself into consideration. Hey, You see me doing this, right?
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm working on. Do it look crazy from over there? Am I? No, I mean, I'm saying, I know it's not done yet, but from where you're standing, can you see what I'm supposed to be doing? Remember, I told you I felt like God called me to this.
Yeah.
Do it at least look like that from where you standing?
Yeah.
And if not, what you think I should be doing? What would look right from over there? Like, that is the way your wife is supposed to be woven in, according to Scripture.
There we go.
That is the way you weave in the help that they're calling a wife. Not just, hey, we gonna do this. What you think about it? Even that is a much more worldly type of leadership that is still valuable, and I think it still has its merit. But that's not the type of purpose-driven leadership, purpose-driven submission, and purpose-driven marriage that we talking about. So I would definitely say that that's the value, is that fam, the dub is virtually impossible. So if you want to win, this is not a happy wife, happy life thing, dog. This is just, again, this is clear instructions on this thing that I think a lot of us gloss over in order to make the idea of marriage more convenient and more palatable, and even more so, more accessible.
Yep.
Because if everybody not called, then it does become a difficult thing to talk about.
It does.
For people to talk about it as if they may not get it.
Yep.
Because we share all of the glory, but, you know, in conversations like these where people are more candid, now we talking about the work. And I think the more we talk about that, frankly, some people just not going to be that attracted to the idea no more. And you need to shake those off.
That's right. That's right.
Do you want to win? I think that's the theme of this conversation, man. Like I said earlier, there's some people who would rather be the star on a losing team than to play a part on a winning team. And that's just real. You know, you literally in marriages or relationships, or you in competition with your partner, man. It's like, she's on your team. Like, why would you just like bro saying, like, limiting her counsel or not listening? That's like going into war and chopping off one of your arms. It's like, what, you setting yourself up for failure.
Come on, AC.
So, yeah, do you want to win? Like, what's more important? Like, you being right or y'all being together? Do you really want to win? A lot of people say they want to win, but they ain't willing to put that work in to win. They ain't willing to go into that gym at 4 in the morning and put up them jump shots. They ain't willing to run them damn bleachers after we done lost the game, or willing to go in there to that 3 or 4 o'clock film session and really analyze what went wrong in the situation so we could really make improvements. Everybody just say, hey, I did my job. I can't control nothing else. You see what I'm saying? Instead of, again, looking at that, but that is your partner, man. I don't want to be the star of a losing ass team. I just don't. That's not. I want to win, whatever it takes. If this game I got to score 40 to win, I do it. If the next game I got to score 10 and my old lady put up her 40, then that's just what it's going to take. But we got 2 wins. That's all that matters. The wins. Do you really want to win? Balance
and complementary roles. Again, he who findeth a wife, okay? I need y'all to remember that. Finds a good thing. There's a different type of favor. We'll hold that conversation for another day. I thank both of you all for bringing this conversation to me. It blessed my spirit once again. There is power in both of you all's messages. I thank y'all so much, and I really do appreciate sharing this space with the both of you. I hope this blessed you all as well. Thank you all for joining this conversation. Go and love on your spouse. All right, baby. All right. I cannot wait to speak to you all again. You all have a blessed day. Bye, babies.